Welcome back to the... Jesus.
Yeah, so long! And that's how we begin.
Yeah, that was gorgeous.
Did you just do that to mess up Tom, or did you have a reason for that?
It just came to me.
Indiana Jones, Indiana Jones, Indiana. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones, Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we discuss the film Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, one Bazooka Jones at a time. My name is Tom Taylor.
My name is Pete, and I just want to say that I've been a bit negative about this movie, but this is a really good minute. Great music, great action, great comedy, solid 60-second smummer.
That's how they know you. That's right. Solid 60 seconds smummer.
So he signs his 8x10.
Yeah, be a little generous.
I'm Jerry Porter. I'm good for an hour.
And I'm Erik Habbinga, and I'm happy to be joining you guys for this minute.
We're happy to have you joining us.
Happy
Thank
to
you.
have you.
Yeah.
Now you married into this boondoggle, Erik.
I sure did.
Yeah.
And how is it? What's that like? We're your in-laws.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've got a group text with my two brothers-in-law and then Jerry. So it's and it's great.
Yeah.
But no, I'm Joe Spaley, longtime guest. I think he's doing a minute before me, but he's been on the Anything Goes a couple times.
Yeah.
He is the older brother of my wife, Heidi. And Joe and Heidi went to camp a lot with the Broad Brothers and Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
And Christy and the biggest Billy Goat Gruff Mimi and Dr. Lee's Valentine.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
We did not sit down and plan it, but we're slowly working through our camp friends roster for this season for some reason.
It's funny because
It's been fun.
I've mostly only known camp through Jerry, but now it seems like it's mostly known as Tommy's Creepy Camp.
Exactly. Yeah, more and more is becoming a real thing, and it's just as creepy.
Yeah, it's low-hanging fruit. You know, you can just call them up and you have to.
Yeah, you owe me. Remember what happened on the ensign? But Erik, we're glad to have you with us, and we're going to discuss minute 76 today. And 76 begins with Mutt and Marion listening to Indy violently take over the truck, and it ends with a big blade cutting through the caravan.
This is interesting because we get a couple of things in this scene that are very similar to they're callbacks to Raiders, but they are opposite callbacks. So the first big one is this fight is very reminiscent of the truck chase in Raiders, except this time we don't see it.
Right.
We just hear it.
You hear the scuffle that ends up with a guy hitting the ground behind a moving truck.
It's like if you ever wondered what the Raiders truck chase was like if you were sitting in the truck, this is what it would have been like.
I think it's very creative and well done.
Yeah, I agree.
They don't show it. They show they don't show Indy beating up the driver, but they show it through Mutt and Marion and the swerving truck.
Yeah,
it's all exactly from the point of view of the guy. It's like if the Cairo chase was from the guy, the dad Nazi who was in the truck and climbs up the top at the end. Like if he was just listening to everything until he went to the top of the truck. Yeah.
It's also a really nice cut when Mutt, the truck swerves and Mutt flies across the truck. And then it immediately cuts to the guy flying outside, and for a second you think Mutt flew out of the truck.
Yeah, that's crazy. Was that intentional? Do you think, or was it?
I think it was. I think it was my guess is it was, but I don't know.
I mean, it must have been, and it's such an interesting artistic choice.
Yeah,
it is. It's there's this flow from inside the truck to outside the truck.
Yeah, and even if you're confused for an instant, you get over it.
Yeah.
You're like, Mutt wasn't dressed like a Russian soldier. That's odd. Oh, that wasn't Mutt.
Right.
All right.
Speaking of Russian soldiers, how did they get all of this Russian equipment here with Russian military logos on it?
Oh yeah, and
This
why?
is a big operation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Why not buy some trucks in fake Mexico or something?
Well, then you wouldn't have that tree cutter.
Oh, I guess not. I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know. Do
this is a big
South
operation.
Americans not have a need for a giant tree cutter, a giant
Yeah, you would
land
think-
raping vehicle?
You think that would be sourced locally?
Yeah. Yeah, the coffee plantations need to clear some rainforest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The angle that we see, like that's a Super Raiders truck scene angle, which is it's kind of like you're a little bit back from the passenger side view mirror.
Yeah.
Kind of like you're like that. That's what's reminiscent.
Yeah.
For me, it's like the actual angle with which, they shoot some of this. That's very Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's on both sides of the truck too.
Yeah.
I mean, which is interesting. I mean, I didn't go back. I went back to the Raiders soundtrack to see if they had borrowed the truck chase music, and I couldn't tell if they did. Because they always play Marion's theme every time Marion, is on the scene for a second. There's like, hey, there we go. It's Marion's theme.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She's suffering from short round theme-itis. Like she can't say a word or make a look without.
The way the music kicks in, though, is I think it's not quite as good as the Raiders truck, chase music, but it's good. Like dum ba bum ba ba da da dum ba. Like it's
well,
really
I mean,
good. Like,
as soon as that Russian hits the ground, that's when it kicks off. With that big orchestra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny that when Indy, Marion, gets into the passenger seat next to him, and he turns into like expository Jones, and he's like, "We gotta get Oxley, get our hands on that skull, and get to Akator before they do." And I'm kind of okay. I get you want to get Oxley back. I get that he's your buddy. You want to rescue him from the Russians. And I understand kind of if you want to get the skull, because whatever it is, it's a weird, cool artifact and you're an archaeologist. Okay. But why does he have to get to Akator before the Russians do, or at all? Like, does he suddenly think that the skull is a thing that does stuff, and that if he goes to Akator, something cool will happen? Or, I mean, if he does think that, if he thinks that the Russians are going to achieve something there, wouldn't he want to get the skull and keep it as far away from Akator as possible?
Oh, good question.
I don't know what his game plan is here. Like, why he's trying to get to Akator.
I have no idea. But Eric, you're one of those guys who kind of has logic. There's like a part of it. Yeah, no, that's why I invited him on the show.
Oh, he's just a nice guy. Okay.
He's a nice guy, but he's got like one of those things where you see the brain and it's like logic center.
So he's he's a ringer.
Yeah, he's a ringer. So I thought
he might starve to death on the show. That's okay.
I thought, okay, maybe he can help us here, because I have that exact question. We got to get Oxley back, get our hands on that skull, and get to Akator before they do. And you're like, okay, Fred from Scooby-Doo.
Right.
But Eric, do you have any idea why they would, as Tommy said, why do they need to get the skull, and why do they have to get to Akator before they do? What happened if they got to Akator first but didn't have the skull?
Mm-hmm.
Or what happened if they got to?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was hoping that Pete would chime in and with the deleted scene that explained all that, because it sure doesn't make sense to me as watching up to this point.
Yeah, it's like he says it's so fast and it's such a quick thing. Like we got to get to Akator before they do. Like you could say we can get to blank before they do, before the bad guys do. And like, oh, okay, I guess that's the plot of every movie, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I'm down. But if you think about it for a second, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I don't know why. Why do you have to get to Akator at all? And why? Why?
So
get the skull, sure, but don't lead the Russians there with the skull, because that's what they're trying to do.
Is she? Yeah. Okay. So is Spalko like she takes the skull to Akator, puts it at the temple or whatever the hell it is, and then she's going to be able to use this, like the skull will bequeath her with mind control powers, at that moment? Is that what is going on right here?
That seems to be what she made up is going to happen. Like for some reason, she believes that's going to happen. Indy, like when he was telling Mutt back in New Haven about what would like the legend that like you would what was the legend back then that if you went to Akator you would get the power of the thing, something you get the power of the city or something, or
No, I don't remember.
we're taking way too long doing this movie. But like he thought that was baloney, whatever it was. And he thought that her idea was baloney. So if he suddenly thinks there's something to what she's saying, I don't get why he would go there unless he thinks that there's something to what she is saying. And if he gets there first with the skull, he'll get whatever power and deny the Russians it. But I don't get any sense that he believes in any of this stuff enough to care about Akator at all. He might care about the skull just because it's a cool, weird thing. But yeah, I don't get it.
Did Oxley's automatic writing convince him? Because that's after that happened is when.
Well, I mean, hey, wait a minute. He
did start getting curious.
He had an intimate moment with the skull.
That's true.
Oh, that's true.
That's true, but he hasn't.
Yeah.
If that's it, then I'm gonna give me more deleted scenes because there needs to be something of like Indy taking like Mutt or Marion aside and be like, guys, that I know this sounds crazy, but that skull talked to me and it told me stuff, and I know what's gonna happen when we get to Akator. We got to get there before the Russians do, because they'll do something horrible, but something great will happen if I go there or something. I don't know.
But there is the deleted scene. Sadly, I don't have one for this one, Eric. But there was the deleted scene a couple minutes ago where Spalko and Mac are talking, and she talks about how she has the SP.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I guess. And the only other thing I could think of is since I just watched the whole movie a couple days ago. Hopefully, I'm not getting out of order, but Oxley had his little moment of lucidity. Has that happened yet? And I just wonder if that somehow changed Indy's mind.
Yeah, that's actually good. That's good because that happened just like 3 minutes ago in movie time.
Right. But well, I'm thinking, but of all the things to change Indy's mind, it's going to be the skull going, psst.
Yeah.
Like he stared into the skull's face or whatever, unless that's total bogus.
Yeah, like you see him kind of like bouncing around and quaking like something's happening.
Yeah.
But he never said like beyond, he could be faking, or if he's not faking, we need to be told that something happened because we don't there's no indication beyond him just trying to get away from the Russians and save his friends.
Spielberg knows this is a grown-up movie for grown-ups, and grown-ups should be able to get the subtext, Tom.
I'm
We
sorry.
don't need to be told anything.
No, you're right.
Well,
I'm just not mature enough to like read between the lines of the crystal skull talking to people's brains and stuff.
Well, Mac pulls the skull plug. He's like, it's enough.
Yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah. He thinks it's hurting his buddy.
Yeah, I think it's hurting his buddy. I was under the impression that the skull like grabbed him by the lapels.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. If you don't, I don't know. I guess that was the moment Indy starts believing. I guess, right?
I guess, but then if that's true and if that's what's supposed to be happening, I'm bothered because there's nothing that the movie hasn't given me that yet. Like there's nothing like, oh my gosh, we do have to get to Akator. Oh my gosh, the crystal skull is a thing. Like just having him kind of like shake around and look weird for a second before Mac pulls the plug. That's not enough for me. He could just be having a seizure or something.
Yeah,
but I do.
Unrelated.
There's no sense of urgency or why we have to get there fast.
Yeah, besides it just being, this is the plot of a movie, so we got to go do the thing against the bad guys. We got to undo whatever the bad guys want to do for whatever reason.
So you don't
totally crazy.
Put any credence to the idea that Ox changed his mind with the automatic writing. Like he saw this writing and he's like, oh, this says something important. That's the last thing that happened before he fell into the.
He did. Sand. Indy does seem intrigued by the writing and the fact that to him anyway, God knows how, like that it correlates to like the Amazon and the thing and stuff. And this is clearly a map.
If you walk through Marion, yeah.
Like, why couldn't Ox just be frazzled and nuts? And like why would it have anything to do with, even if the skull did something to him?
Yeah.
Like, why does that mean that if I were Indy, I'd be like, oh, the skull is crazy and weird and maybe even important. Let's keep it away from Akator because something weird will happen if we take it to Akator. And that's what the Russians want to do. So why would I do it?
But like, if Jerry had been, well, that's a bad example. If Tom, if you had been crazy for a long time, and like, yeah, like, yeah, we had noticed the change, and then all of a sudden you start, writing stuff in some ancient language that one of us knows. That might seem, well, we might be like, whoa, hey, Tom's writing ancient Hebrew all of a sudden.
But then,
although I guess he already knew it, though. We assume Ox already knew it, so that'd be like you writing textbooks.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't, I feel like him trying to get to Akator before the Russians do. There's nothing in the movie that's told me why he wants to do that besides them being the bad guy.
So if he gets the skull back, gets Oxley, and gets to Akator before the Russians do, then is he like, so I'm going to put the skull on the temple mount, and then
I'll tell the Russian teachers to do what I want them to do.
Exactly.
And they won't even know I'm doing it.
And by the way, like, who on her team is going to be able to do this, because the skull has ghosted her.
Right.
Yeah.
The skull blocks her and doesn't communicate with her. So if she...
Maybe that's why they're keeping Indy alive.
Yeah, maybe, which is another reason for him to not go to Akator with the skull.
Right.
Yeah. Like, if he is somehow integral to their plot all of a sudden, he should stay the hell away from
Or are they going to use Oxley? Is Oxley...
See, I feel like Oxley's too far gone. I actually feel like that is why they're using Indy, but it only came across in that deleted scene where she's telling Mac, like, oh, it sucks because the skull only chooses to speak to certain people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Indy still seems to have some sanity.
Then why not even say, like, okay, Dr. Jones, you're coming with us. Since the thing won't talk to me for whatever reason, you're going to be our conduit to the secrets of Akator. Whatever that means.
But once you're there, if they did use Indy as the conduit or the tool, and so like now the skull is communicating to Indy, and Indy is there with the skull, and they're like Wonder Twin powers, take over the Russian brains. Like, you can't, it'd be like, tell the skull that we want to meet him, at 3 p.m. behind the dumpster. You're like, no, if you're now communicating with the skull, you would just be like, hey, skull, listen, here's what I want. I want you to remove all these. Russians. Yeah, I'm being held hostage. Exactly.
See, the tools of industry should be held by the workers, skull. That's what they want you to know.
And I was about to say, I've lived my life according to the sort of the philosophy of a British statesman named Sir Edward Grey, who was sort of one of the most intentionally vague people of all time. And so when like the First World War was breaking out, he would negotiate with people and everyone would think he was giving them what he wanted, even though he hadn't given anybody what they wanted. He was just so vague. And I'm like, hey, being vague is really like handy in a lot of time. But I think in this movie, it is not in any way handy.
Yeah, this movie doesn't need vague. This movie needs, here's what's happening right now. And, we got Indy saying, like, here's what's happening in the movie, Marion. We got to get Ox, we got to get the skull, we got to, but even that's vague. Like, we're sitting here now trying to figure it out.
It's weird. The stuff that's important is vague, and the stuff that is not important is spelled out pretty clearly.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you say you love this minute, Pete, and I don't disagree with you, even though I've got lots of questions.
Why
it doesn't totally make sense to me, but I'm enjoying it too.
I sort of ignored this line. I didn't really pay attention. I was just sort of like, oh, okay. It's like, it's like we've got, it's night. We're wearing sunglasses. Let's roll.
That's how you do it, Pete.
Yeah.
I sort of ignored this line.
I didn't know we were allowed to do that, but okay.
Yeah, I didn't either.
It's getting better every minute.
I have a question for you, Eric.
Okay.
So Marion comes through, right? She comes through the sliding door, and is this your, I'm your new damn partner moment?
It seems like it. I mean, just they seem to play off each other a lot. I mean, and then through the rest of the movie, but she's definitely taking over from Mutt.
Yeah. You kind of think maybe that's Mutt coming through at first, because you see these boots and pants and,
Yeah. He, Indy won her over last minute. He said the thing about like, hey, there have been other women, but none of them were you, doll face, or whatever he says. And she's been beaming ever since then. And she's kind of like, even when she comes in now, she's kind of like, there's my man. They're playing our song, and I'm sitting next to Indiana Jones.
Well, do you think that's because she's like, I'll say, you sure know how to show a lady a good time?
It may be. Maybe she's like, like as soon as he and her son like kicked a guy in the face until he passed out, she's like, oh man, I've been missing this. This is really nice.
Yeah. I wish I had a bar here so I could destroy it while I fight everybody.
Yeah, is there a bar that gets on fire too? Oh, that's all it's missing right now.
Can I ask? I have a question to ask everybody. Has anybody ever asked you to take the wheel while they're driving?
Oh,
grab the wheel?
I don't think so. No. I saw my aunt and uncle once. They were in a van and they traded drivers on the highway once without stopping. Like we were behind them in another car, and we saw them like he got up and sort of scooted over to her seat while he still had his hand on the wheel, and then she took it. It was like a whole thing.
So did they slow down or did they swerve?
No, they were just they were solid.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
I mean,
impressive.
That's one thing about the movie is that the truck never moves when
Yeah, it doesn't slow down or doesn't.
I don't think it has much place to go.
Yeah.
I think there's not a lot of room in that studio.
It's like a ride at an amusement park.
Yeah. Star Tours doesn't travel too much either.
Marion takes a second to get her bearings of like, here's the clutch, here's the stick
Yeah.
shift.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, now I'll look at the road.
Right.
It's funny because I think it's the worst feeling in the world when someone asks you to grab the wheel and they're driving. Although Jerry has done that to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's not, I was going to say,
on several occasions.
Yeah.
Like he'll be like, I got to open this soda. I got to.
Yeah. I dropped half my burrito.
Yeah.
Gotta get my
And then you're like, whoa. And like you start swerving all over the road.
I mean, we used to shift for each other in high school when we would had to drive to swim practice and we're eating at the same time as we're driving. It's like
nice.
I have one hand with food in my mouth, one hand on the wheel. It's like you need to shift.
Wow. How'd you coordinate the clutching with the shifting and the?
I can't remember because it's been so long since I was on swim team and had a stick shift car. But I'd never switched seats like that.
Okay.
It's kind of amazing any of us is alive when you think about it.
I know.
Or maybe we're not. maybe not. The fact that we're all sitting here talking about Crystal Skull, in 1 minute at a time is proof that we're not.
Yeah, which makes more sense? That we all died in a car crash in the 70s, or that we're talking about some cockamamie Crystal Skull? 1 minute at a time, no less.
That's right.
Well, I like that.
You had a question though, Eric. Oh, sorry, Jerry.
No, I was just saying I like that by Indy doing that, he's fully inviting her, to in the adventure. He's like, you take the wheel. Yeah, boy, you're something. It is. Which is kind of cool because we don't see him do that very often.
Yeah.
Yeah, he completely cedes control here.
Mm-hmm.
That's I didn't even think about that. That's pretty amazing.
He's matured.
Yeah.
He's not just trying to get something out of Marion. She's along for the ride.
Yeah.
She's his co-pilot. She's his Chewbacca, for Christ's sake.
Well, there you go.
She's literally the pilot.
She is. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but Eric, you had a question. We were talking about this before we started. You were asking about what's going on when she gets into the driver's seat here and Mutt climbs up.
Yeah. So Mutt climbs in, and then it takes him 5 seconds to get his bearings, and he does it by staring down at Marion's feet, and then at her. And then her feet again, and then he finally reads his line. Yeah, and it's only 5 seconds. I mean, which is not much in the grand scheme of things. But when you watch it a minute at a time, you watch this minute 6 times. You're like, that's a lot of this minute is just him face acting.
It's a really long time.
Yeah, it's a really long. Yeah.
And it's just wonder what the other choices were, and they said, well, that's the one we're going to keep.
Yeah. Slow it down as much as you can. The scene is getting too exciting. Just look at your mom for a little while.
Yeah.
20 minutes. Yeah.
What is it? Is Shia LaBeouf ogling Karen Allen, or is Mutt surprised that his mom is driving a car? Was she the most bored? Was she just a mom growing up? Also, he's like,
she can drive stick.
Oh my God. I think that's what it is. Unfortunately.
See, I kind of think that he's sort of. I mean, there's no evidence of this, but in my head, I'm sort of thinking he just found out that his dad is not who he thought his dad was. And so now he might be like, oh, so my mom didn't only have sex with Colin Williams? Like she's been around?
Yeah.
Like she's she, like there've been as many Harrys as Marys, and like she's like a woman who can drive stick and dates guys. All right.
Yeah, now she's driving
Weird.
an army truck in the chase in the jungle and
not even the U.S. Army. It's a Russian army.
Yeah.
Like she never told him any stories from before of like drinking
is
competitions or even anything tamer than that.
Mom, you drink? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I love that her life is completely opaque to it. Like this is all brand new.
Yeah.
All she's ever done is to pull out blueberry muffins from the oven.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go, dear.
Yeah.
But it does seem though like he's like it's a new appraisal or something. He's like seeing her for the first time kind of. And I don't think it's like the first day on the set. I think he's like, it's not just mom, it's Marion Ravenwood. Okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
But you know what? Marion is such a bright light. I don't think she. I mean, he. It's a little drastic for me. It's cool. I mean, the bit comes across, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we're talking about didn't Marion say like a damn good life?
Well, that could be like, she made $100 at the bake sale or something.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think she needed Indy to have adventures. I'll say that. I mean, keep in mind, she had a bar in Nepal without Indy, and she was winning the drinking contest.
Yeah.
And she yelled at everybody, "Pistole!" Yeah, she did. I mean, she had plenty of adventures.
Yeah.
But maybe she'd had enough adventures at that. Like maybe her plan good was like, you know what, I'm going to settle down and raise this kid, and I'm going to go to the bake sale. And
yeah, it did sound like her Colin Williams life was very just homey and safe and nice and good.
Although they probably survived the Blitz.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, any of that though, like Mutt just may have just seen her as mom this whole time.
Yeah.
And now he's kind of like, everything's changing. And he's like, oh gosh, mom could mean a lot of things. Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Pete, you said they survived the Blitz. Where did Mary Williams live?
I was just assuming she lived in London, because doesn't Oxley have a British accent, and Colin was an RAF pilot, and I don't know though.
It just seems like
what are they doing in the States though?
Yeah, what are they doing?
Overcompensating by being super American and
that's true.
Yeah.
He has a very American accent too. Yeah, that's a good question.
I hadn't thought about where they were from until you mentioned that.
That is really weird.
That's really weird. So did
that's
they
true,
live?
Because Mutt didn't have a British accent, which would be weird.
Right? Did they? I assume they lived in the States, even though she says.
Me too.
Yeah.
She's just like British guys.
Yeah, she's just like British guy. Well, right there, you're like, what was she doing over there, and how did she meet? I guess she met him through Indy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But could they have lived in the States, and Colin lived in the States too, but then once the war happened, he went to be a hero in the Air Force or something?
He was in the RAF, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess they had American
hero,
pilots in the RAF at the beginning, though.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. Huh.
I don't know.
So then who raised Mutt during that time? I guess if everyone left.
It sounds like Marion, and then like Oxley was sort of around as like Uncle Oxley.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is weird. We've been talking about this for a long time.
Yeah, I know. And it's kind of like where you it's like one of those dark ponds. You just keep like you keep moving your hand through it to see if you can get the water pellucid.
Yeah,
that's a good word.
No, thank you, Pete.
Here's a clear thing that I like that I don't question. I really like just the image and the reaction of Indy just casually emerging with a rocket launcher.
I
like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's very cool. They're both like annoyed and creeped out by it.
Well,
so was it always in the back of the truck with them?
Oh, that's a good question.
So.
I mean, could they have used that 2 minutes ago?
Yeah. Use a rocket launcher on that guy instead of kicking him in the face.
Go on the roof of the car with a rocket launcher and say, hey, guys.
Yeah. Maybe remember last time we were trying to figure out what the shocked reaction was between Mutt and Indy when he's trying to cut himself loose and there was like some weird sound. Like, maybe Mutt saw, oh my God, there's a rocket launcher behind you the whole time. We could have used that on the guy.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, see, that makes sense now. Maybe when you hear that sound, it's the knife scraping against the bazooka or the RPG or whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh, you almost just set off a thing.
An even bigger explosion to me. Would Indy say scooch?
What do you think he'd say?
I just can't see him saying scooch over, will you, son?
Hamstring.
I say move over or like slide over.
Scooch isn't bad though. I kind of like scooch.
No, I like scooch, but you know what sucks is
Scooch sounds like a mom thing.
It does, but like there's something about him emerging with the rocket launcher and being very, very casual about it. They're like, "Hey, scooch over, will you?" Like that kind of works with that, I think.
Okay.
I think his speech is now adulterated. Now that he has a son and his son is next to him, he keeps saying things like "son," and so normally, no, he probably hasn't said "scooch" in 40 years.
Yeah, like he would have said, "Get your ass on the other side of the seat," if it hadn't been his son. But he's like, "Yeah."
It's like you expect him to like slap a propeller beanie cap on Mutt as he comes out. Hello, kid. Hello, son. You want to go push the old ball around with the old man? Huh?
So let's scooch over, can we?
Yeah, scooch over, kid.
Scoop over, yeah.
I love the whole like the interchange here though, where Mutt's like, "Don't call me son, don't," and he doesn't even just completely ignores him, and he's like, "I'd cover my ears if I were you," but he doesn't even wait for him. Like you can see Mutt start to cover his ears, but Andy's not even waiting; he's just shooting.
Yeah. And Marion doesn't even get a chance to. She's trying to drive.
No,
She's got both hands on the wheels like a responsible bake sale chairman.
So let me ask you. So, Mutt says, "Don't call me son." And Indy says, "I think I'd cover my ears if I were you." Is that because of the bazooka, or is that because Indy's going to call him son again?
Yeah. We said a while ago that my family has come out and said that, Tom, half of what you say is nonsense and it doesn't need to be said. And that's usually something along the lines of my response is like, I'm just saying stuff. You don't have to respond and listen. Just, cover your ears if you have to, or just go read a book. I'm just over here talking to myself. It's okay. I'd cover your ears if I were you.
I feel like this scene is the final culmination of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like we've been waiting for him to shoot that bazooka for a long time, and he finally gets to shoot it.
It's not blowing up the Ark, but it's blowing up the truck, and that's.
But is that why he doesn't wait? Is that why he's like he doesn't even let Mutt cover his ears because he's like, I really regret not shooting it.
Nothing's going to stop me this time.
Yeah.
That could be. I was hung up on why they want to go to Akator. I don't quite understand why he blows up this truck or how he blows up this truck, because they're driving in a straight line, a convoy, and the only way they can go is the path being cut by this tree cutter truck in the front. And I guess he lucks out that it's like turning at the moment that he shoots it, so he has like a clear shot of it. But why is he? They're in a truck, this is like the Cairo scene, the Cairo truck chase. You want it to be that. Why doesn't he just take the truck and pull up to the next truck, beat everybody up there, go up to the next truck, beat up everybody there like he did in Cairo. And they're like, okay, it's in a straight line. They can't do that. But then, not to cheat and skip ahead, but that's kind of exactly what happens in like a minute or two. They're all next to each other, driving through the jungle without worrying about the tree cutter and stuff.
I think I have an answer, actually.
Okay.
Well, in the script, it says that they're driving along the river, and the river turns here. So I think that's why why the tree cutter turns. But then I was thinking about that exact same question. Like I was like, why is he blowing up the tree cutter? But I think since his goal is for them not to make it to Akator while he can, I think he's just trying to stop their progress. So I think that's why he blows up the tree cutter. Okay. So then Spalko can't get to Akator, whereas maybe they could make it somehow on their own.
Yeah.
I was wondering. Well, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna. He could like the last time we saw him in a truck, and he wanted to stop the bad guys from achieving what they wanted. He stole the thing that would that would get them what they wanted while they were all driving trucks. He regained the Ark while they were all driving.
But that, you know what? But he's learned that's a hell of a lot of work.
Yeah, he didn't almost make it out.
Yeah, you have to get thrown under. Could you imagine be thrown under the truck in the jungle?
Oh, that would blow.
That would be awful.
Because that thing doesn't cut that low. It'd be all like tree stumps.
Right,
like,
right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be horrible. Oh my God. So Eric, look, you have a logical piece of your brain. If you had one bazooka shot, which lorry / tree cutter / Jeep or whatever would you take out if you had one
Just
bazooka
call it
shot?
a lorry.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, Colin Williams.
Yeah.
It's Raiders.
I mean, based on Pete's revelation, I think I would take out the tree cutter because
Mhm.
they're following it, and if it
Yeah.
can't cut the trees, then they're not going anywhere.
Mm.
It's not
So
like the Jeeps.
so he hits the tree cutter, and does he do that again to stop the progress, or is it just like a havoc maker? It's just like you stop that, and you're like, oh, the blades are gonna go all over hell. I mean, what you could do is bazooka Spalco.
Yeah, that seems like
Yeah.
a smarter move.
Yeah, in a way.
Although
like,
is she in the same thing as Oxley though? I think Oxley is riding
oh,
the
that
Spalco.
may
Oh,
be.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he doesn't shoot the cab of the tree cutter either. Like and I was wondering, is he doing that to save the guy's life?
Oh, maybe.
Or is he
He
doing
doesn't
it?
really aim. Like
Yeah.
That's true,
he
yeah.
pulls it up and he shoots, and you're like, oh, that's what's interesting. He shoots at the blades. You're right. He doesn't shoot at the cab. He shoots at the blades. So
Yeah.
it seems a little more risky, maybe.
Because the blades are low to the ground. Like it's a lot harder shot to make.
Yeah.
It's a lot smaller target.
Hmm.
I'm gonna bring this all
It's
back
like a womp rat.
next week because I just know that in a couple of minutes they're going to be driving through the jungle as though there aren't any trees there, and they're not going to need that tree cutter. So I'm a little confused.
Maybe the tree cutter is really far ahead. We just can't tell because of perspective.
Oh, maybe yeah. It finished cutting a beautiful chase scene
Yeah.
length
Yeah.
swath through the jungle.
Two parallel paths,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so nice.
so
of
they
them.
could do their Return of the Jedi moment.
Right. See, because if they left the if he went, Cairo truck chase and just went truck to truck and beat everybody up and got the thing back and stuff, and then the tree cutter truck was still in the chase the whole time, you could have like scrum chums falling into the blades, and so you could do more cool stuff with that or
Yeah.
something as a movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like that tree cutter is really underutilized because it's such an amazing
Yeah.
thing.
I mean, it's kind of cool to have this explosion and the big
Yeah.
blade goes through everything. That's kind of neat, but
That's true.
That's kind of the end of it.
I'm just imagining the South American Johnny Appleseed. Like, oh no!
Throws down his thing of seeds. Oh, shucks. Forget it.
Well, then we have the blade, fly off and get jettisoned from the explosion, and it what did it sort of bisects
I just like when
the
you
vehicle.
stop in the middle of a thought and you do that. Like the little
That was the blade.
throat clearing
Like he's going to say something really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's getting all ready.
I thought of Pete. That made me think of you. It felt like a very Jurassic Park moment.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
Interesting.
What about it?
I get that without knowing what that means exactly.
Yeah, it just
I'm not sure I've seen
it didn't. Well, okay, so the blade goes. We kind of watch and we're waiting and we're exciting and it's a lot of adventure making. And the blade goes through and it splits a lorry in half, and then it splits Indy's lorry in half, and the rib cages of the truck opens up. You know what I mean? And it didn't seem Indiana
feel like
Jones
there's
to me.
Nothing like that in Jurassic Park, but I like the idea.
Listen,
It's
there
like
were
the buzzsaw scene in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Let's get cut up.
No, it's in the jungle, man. Come on. No, it just seemed like the lighting and the way it was shot, and the action adventure is later Steven Spielberg. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah,
See,
I guess that's
I've
what I'm
had a
saying.
completely different take on it. I thought the action adventure harkened back to the prequels, and this reminded me
Oh.
100% of Tom Taylor on Star Wars Minute. when he talks about the of the engines in the prequels, because this blade makes the most incredible sound when it flies through the air.
Yeah.
It makes like this. It's incredible, and especially if you're listening with earphones.
Yeah.
Like the sound design of this whole minute's incredible, but the sound of the whirring blade is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Which
is cool.
The best thing to me about the prequels was that engine sound, Tom.
Yeah. It was good. A little overused, but it was very good. Like every ship suddenly sounds good.
Yeah.
And some aliens too. Pete, I have to apologize to you from I think last week or something. Or the last couple, Jerry and I have gone nuts on our Mutt watch and our Marion watch, and I feel like you haven't been able to weigh in or something. I think we just glanced over where you are on the Marion watch and the Mutt watch. How are they both doing for you?
This minute they're both fantastic.
Okay.
Clear weather, clear sailing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know you had trouble with the whole the fight minutes, the argument minutes, the mom and dad fight.
Yeah. I'm not as big a fan of Marion in this movie. Or at least I don't know. I haven't actually watched it in a long time, so maybe
I haven't expected to be. I kind of shared the sort of comment like, yeah, it's Marion, but it's not our Marion. You know, it's not the Marion you want. But yeah, the last couple of minutes I've been great with her.
I'm digging her. Yeah,
I think I still am. Yeah,
and I like, other than that line that I didn't think about until you started complaining about it. I like everything about this.
All right.
I am just floored by her outfit. It's like this. She has this khaki outfit, but then she has this, like, I don't know, it's almost like a robin's egg blue or a turquoisey blue accent shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's like I notice it. It's very bold. I mean, it sticks out. You're like, you have to choose to put that on, and it's very cool.
See, I don't know if to me it feels a little bit like a Jungle Cruise Disney theme park operator outfit.
Well, it is. It is.
I was wondering that. Yeah.
It is like Thunder Canyon.
There's a really, really fine line between, because I was thinking the exact same thing, Pete. Like Jungle Cruise, like, we have adventurers in the 30s or 40s or something in the jungle. So they're going to wear this, and this, and they're going to look like characters in a movie.
Yeah.
And there's such a fine line between, okay, what would they wear? Like, I guess they would wear something like that, but sometimes it looks so much like a costume in a movie.
I feel like they would have worn something like that in the 30s. I don't feel like they would have worn something like that in 1958.
Yeah, you might be right.
Well, they wear something like that.
Like, wasn't she kidnapped? Shouldn't she be wearing like some suburban soccer mom
maybe this
thing
is
or
her
something?
suburban soccer mom thing. Like
maybe
that's her way of like living the adventure now. She dresses like an adventurer.
I mean, it's right out of Six
Flags. Like sneaking through the mall, like lurking in the food court.
Stop. Well,
evading the mall cops.
Remember back when Banana Republic was like the adventure store and they had like the travel books and the,
like sitting in the
palm
Jeep.
fronds and
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
What
about you, Eric? Traditionally, broad strokes, people blame the failure of this movie on Mutt, and they're somewhat disappointed in Marion. But how are you feeling about them in this movie? You said you rewatched the whole thing recently, so
yeah, I watched the whole thing. I guess this isn't a bad minute for Mutt, except for the 5 seconds of scoping up, Marion. And figuring out she can drive.
Right.
But Marion does a good job here. I mean, I guess when she's beaming all the time about Harrison Ford, it seems like she's laying it out a little thick, or I mean, Indy.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a little much out of not much,
But the whole movie's kind of like that. Everything that seems to be, what would have been funny in the first one is now a little bit too clever. So.
Yeah.
Well, what was your initial experience watching the movie, and then what was it like watching it, 12 years, 13 years later?
So I remember it was right before me and Heidi got married, and we watched it, on a date, but we were definitely...
Wow, and
it wasn't like a first date or anything. Yeah. But I remember just after, as soon as the nuclear bomb and the refrigerator scene happened, I'm like, oh, this isn't going to be any good.
And your marriage, or
no? The movie, the marriage has been great, but then watching it again is like, oh yeah, I forgot. I've forgotten a lot of it, but it seems like it was just trying really hard, and not quite landing.
That's a good way of putting it. like for a confusing movie, it's also trying very hard.
Yeah.
Like a little too hard. Yeah.
I've got a question for you, Eric. So Joe Spaley has taken a lot of flack on this very podcast for earnestly liking bad movies. And I'm wondering if your wife also falls into that. Is that a Spaley trait?
You know, she only has a couple, favorite movies like Pretty in Pink.
Uh-huh.
And
okay.
I mean, and that's, product of the times, but also it's a pretty good movie. We've watched it
Yeah.
a couple times since then.
Yeah.
So like super bad, terrible movies like Joe likes haven't really come up. So no, I don't think it's a trait. I think it's,
Heidi always seemed like the smart one to me. I
gonna
like
pin
Joe
that
a
on
lot,
Joe.
but Heidi was always pretty
Yeah,
smart.
yeah. I like how you just threw Michael under the bus.
I have to have him on the show to defend himself.
Yeah.
Oh, he'd be good. You should get him.
Yeah, he's
All right.
yeah, he's great.
I like all the Spaleys. God, there's a
Yeah.
lot of them. We could
There
finish
is a
off the
lot of
whole
them.
season with just Spaleys.
Yeah.
Just
This
a
would be
bunch
great.
of them. Yeah, they'd all be smart and like terrible movies.
Yep. Well, does anybody else have anything for minute 76?
No, I was just excited that at the very, very end, the theme comes back. So it just means it's a real action
yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good ears. good
Stuff's going to
ears.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, I hear something. My
What's
good
that?
ears are what? My good ears are working.
What? Oh my God.
Oh, yay.
Coming in over the wire. Yes. Wait, let's hear you do it, Eric. This just in from Professor Christy Porter. Am I the only one who wanted to see Indy swing through the cab of the back and then put on a puppet show?
And those little doors there?
Yeah,
Like,
those
yeah,
are
that's
fun.
good.
I can
Yeah.
see that.
You do like a little. He kind of opens it. Like, what's interesting about Indiana Jones is he knows how to do stuff. Like he know.
Yeah.
Like I watched
That
that
would have taken
scene.
me 20 minutes.
That would have taken me. I would have smashed into a tree. He opens a door. He knows how to. He knows how to play the bazooka, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I assume he learned that in the war. He knows how to do stuff.
He can open a door. He really can.
Yeah, he really. Well,
He can
while
open a sliding
driving.
door.
Yeah.
While driving, yeah.
Well, he escapes through the roof.
He does it with style.
Yeah,
Whatever he's doing, he does it
knows
with
how
style.
to move a switchblade from his shoulder to his hand.
Do you ever, in your private moments when no one else is around, or even if they are around, do you ever, like, if you're walking around the kitchen making coffee, do you ever pretend you're in a movie and that, like, this is just a scene of you, the star of the movie, making coffee? And, like, how am I going to do it that would work well in a movie? Like, be totally casual, like, not trying to do anything, but I'm going to do this well and smoothly. And, it could work in a movie. Won't be a lot of, like, screw ups and stuff and spilling stuff all over the joint. Because I don't.
I don't think that, but sometimes I think like a very like Kurt Vonnegut kind of thing. Like, what if I'm the only person that's sentient?
Yeah.
And therefore, like, there's this
Yeah.
whole like universe of people that are watching my every move. Like,
Yeah.
I'm being studied and analyzed. And
Should I explain to the aliens what coffee is and why I use the ratio of water to scoops
Yeah.
that I do?
yeah.
Yeah, I
Or
do
if like
that
we're all
too.
a virtual reality thing, and I happen to get Pete today.
Yeah.
And they're like, should I do
wow.
something weird? Like, is it like when you play a video game? Like, you don't want to just follow the directions. Like, you want to like take your guy
Yeah.
and jump into a house or something, or do something weird.
Right. Yeah. Just walk around in the pretty countryside while everyone's shooting each other.
Yeah.
Just look at the pretty
Yeah.
artwork. Yeah.
I have a good friend who does a lot of auditions, for commercials and movies, and I'm the I walk her through these auditions. Like I'm the other person in during the scenes, and so I've had to act, and these are things that get submitted, and it's been very, very interesting trying to because one thing I've noticed is I'm very slow on the conversation. Like when she finishes a sentence, I'll read my line and she'll be like, Jerry, what are you doing? I'm like, what? And when you listen back, she's like, you're way behind. And it's really strange. It's like when I'm reading the line, there's like a lag of 2 or 3 or 4 seconds that I'm not aware of. You almost have
weird.
to, so when you do it where the timing feels right, it's almost like you're interrupting them.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
it's not like trading fours in music where it's even you have to be even before. I mean, do you think of it that way?
That's great.
That's
For
good.
trading for in music isn't hard at all for me, at least. I don't. But
Okay.
for this conversation stuff, and I've noticed that like if I'm somebody who's angry, I'm actually really good, and I don't have to act at all.
That's your resting state.
Yes, that's my default. Where she'd be like, "Oh, that was good," and I was like, "Well, yeah, just let them know if I, they might forget you and be like, hey, who is your partner?"
Yeah, that guy's furious.
Yeah, but if I have to,
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's like how, like if you have to read sad or dejected or it's very very interesting.
So do you think Harrison Ford, like when he's just at home, like opening a sliding cabinet or something, he's kind of like, it's stuck again. It's not quite sitting on the, I didn't. But then like here in the movie, he's like, no, I'm Indiana Jones now. I gotta
Yeah,
I got
know what I'm doing.
magic on it. It's possible.
Yeah, he seems like he's kind of distanced from anything that would be movie related in his real life. For some reason, it feels that
Yeah.
way. I don't know if that's true, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Just going to casually land this plane on a golf course. Who cares?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you ever asked him about anything movie related, he'd be like, "Oh, come on, just
Was I in a movie?
yeah,
What?
just
What's
knock
a
it
Yoda?
off, knock it off,
Yeah.
will you?"
Well, speaking of knocking it off, I think we've pretty much covered 76. What do you guys think?
Oh yes.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Eric, thank you so much for joining us. This has
Yeah.
been a lot of fun. I hope you
Well,
had
thank
fun.
you. Yeah, I've been enjoying listening to you guys. I finally caught up on all the Anything Goes about 3 months ago. And so
Oh, very cool.
Thank you.
Great.
it's been
Anything
great.
goes? You mean that bonus show we do over at patreon.com/Indiana Jones Minute?
Oh,
Where
yes.
you can get this extra bonus show for supporting the show, and then you could also get early access to this show, and then if you could also even get postcards from me and Jerry and Pete. Is that what you're talking about?
That is what I'm talking about.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure. Cool. No, we're glad you're here, both listening and being here, and everybody out there. We're glad that you're there listening, and we hope that you'll be back here listening next week when we talk about minute 77 of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, right here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Eric, is there a sound effect you would like to make with your mouth from this
I think
minute?
the only thing I want to say is Jones.
Jones!
Jones! See, I'm angry.
There you go.
Jones!
It's kind of it was weird how long the delay was before you said yours, Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry. Why don't you
Wait, I'm
Pick up your cues
dejected. Wait,
faster.
see, try to be dejected. Jones.
Jones.
Oh, Jones.
So you got to say it right after. Oh,
Jones.
see, I was trying to say it so fast, I didn't get that. I didn't hear you say.
All right,
dejected.
wise guy. Pete, give me your dejected Jones.
Jones.
Oh.
Hmm.
That was pretty. Was that sad or was that dejected? I can't tell.
Yeah.
Is there a difference?
I don't know.
Dejected is like you've been in the oubliette.
Like you're beaten down.
Right. Never mind. By the way, do you think Mutt is looking at? It's just occurred to me. Do you think Mutt is looking at Marion, thinking like, "Well, it turned out Colin Williams wasn't my dad. Maybe this Marion Ravenwood. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe she's actually not related to me.
Who's to say?
And,
she's available.
Time to make my move."
On that Oedipal note,